Good evening to everyone here, and thank you all so much for being able to make it here to Q&A night despite the current social conditions and restrictions that are going on. My name is Daniella Luistro, or Danny, as many of you may know me. I'm a second-year chemistry major with an emphasis in biochemistry, and you may know me as this year's Associated Students Liaison. So a little bit about myself. I was born in a big city called Quezon City, Philippines, and I grew up there until I moved to San Francisco when I was about 4 years old. When I lived in the Philippines, my lola, or my grandma, always took care of me while my parents were off at work. When I came to America, my grandma still called me every day and always hung up the call saying, "I love you, Danny. Wag mong kalimutan kung saan ka nanggaling. Don't ever forget your roots and where you came from. Make us proud, Danny," she always said. So here I am today, standing before you all, running to be your 2020-2021 Administrative Officer, to not only reconnect myself back to my Filipino roots, but to connect you with your own roots as well. The Administrative Officer is an important position that helps keep the org running and flowing steady. It's a lot of behind-the-scenes kind of stuff like filling out paperwork, taking minutes, and making reservations. Without this position, it would be hard to keep the org as maintained as it always is. Knowing the responsibilities of this position that are listed in the Constitution, I believe that through my past and present experiences, I would be a good fit as your administrative officer. I've held a pretty good number of leadership positions in the past. In high school, I was team captain for our school's varsity golf team and vice president of our Filipino club. But most importantly, though, in my opinion, is that I was secretary for our French club. And I say that this is the most important because its duties were very similar to the roles required by the administrative officer. I had to take minutes, organize meeting rooms, and fill out paperwork. In addition to this position, last year I was also a shadow for APSA's shadow program, where I was able to follow along the routine of the secretary position and perform all the tasks that they would usually do. Currently, I am the Associated Students Liaison for Samahan, like I mentioned earlier. Through this position, I acted as a bridge between AS and AB Samahan and dealt with any issues pertaining to AS. I was in charge of attending meetings every week to report anything going on in Samahan and report back to Samahan anything going on in AS. This also means that I have prior experience being on board, so I know what I did right as a board member, but at the same time, I also know what I did wrong, so I can learn from my mistakes going on into a second term. All of these positions have one thing in common. They all taught me how to be organized and use my time effectively. So organized, in fact, that if you've ever seen me doing homework in Slounge or somewhere in the library, you've probably seen me writing in one of my 3 planners. One for school, one for extracurriculars and orgs, and one for my free time. I think that being administrative officer is all about being punctual, being organized, and knowing your due dates and staying on top of them. Luckily, I was able to work on all these traits throughout the years, and I hope to be able to use these traits effectively if elected. Coming to college, Samahan became my home away from home. It gave me a sense of family when I felt lost or couldn't find direction, and it gave me friends that I know I'll have for a lifetime. Most importantly, though, Samahan always reminded me of the words that my grandma told me because it always takes me back to how proud I am to be Filipino and how much I love my culture. As administrative officer, I want to keep the org that gave me so much joy and happiness running smoothly so that I, if elected, and the rest of our board would be able to give you that chance to have that same experience of your own. I hope to give you all the chance to find your own roots and grow a flower in its place that's blooming with pride and love for its own culture. Thank you.